Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Episodes drop every other Monday, where we discuss the biggest Joshi news, review shows, and preview the hottest upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're a new fan or an old fan, we've got something here for you at Jumping Bomb Audio.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Tuesday the 30th of July, 2024. This is episode 321. Damon, I'm going on a hot air balloon tomorrow.
Oh yeah? Where?
In Oakhampton, so it's not far from me. This is not me doing a bit, by the way. I'm genuinely going on a hot air balloon. It was a birthday gift that me and my sister bought in conjunction for my dad. And he's had that for about a year, but has not yet organised it. So my sister basically messaged me a few weeks ago and was like, look, make him organise that fucking balloon ride, because otherwise it's going to expire and all our money would have gone down the toilet. So, he's done that. I'm going with him. And, we arranged it for tomorrow. So that'll be Wednesday, 31st of July. And then we got weather warnings in Devon. So there's going to be huge thunderstorms.
Oh, no.
I'm hoping that will... not hit us, but I just wanted to go on the record on the podcast to let everyone know about the balloon ride in case everything goes horribly wrong.
To let everyone know I love them, and just why don't you just take him out?
No,
the dinner,
I don't love them. I hate everyone.
Well, true. Just take him out to dinner. Can we do that? I'm going to worry. I'm going to worry about you. I'm going to worry about you.
I'll see if I can upload a photo of me and the balloon to the Jcast video. I don't know. Do you get 4G from up in the sky? I'm not sure. I don't know what the signal's like.
We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. One, I think those like when I see people riding those things, I think it's beautiful. Like I just love the. I don't know. There's something about like that is really just. I don't know, like when you have a bunch of them up in the air, and I don't know. There's something about it that just like warms my heart. The height thing, I would be a little bit afraid because you're in a wicker basket basically. And
I'm very scared. I'm not looking forward.
Are you really? I was about to say, are you scared?
Yeah. I'm not a big sort of scared of heights kind of person, but I think there's a sort of logical terror about being in that kind of situation.
Yeah. And the flame right above your head. Yeah. All right. Listen.
If I look down, I will shit my pants and probably have a heart attack.
But your dad's into the is he like, does he get a kick out of that kind of shit, like heights and aviation?
He's never done it before either. I'm not sure why my sister suggested it, to be honest. He's agreed to do it. I suppose that's the best we can help.
This poor guy's having a conversation with his wife right now. How the fuck do I get out of this? What like, can I just be sick? He's just like, please, I don't want to do this. My in-law, my Cheryl's dad, who passed away in the past couple of years. I forget the exact date, to be quite honest with you. He was very much into avionics and stuff like that. He was in the Air Force, so they got him a flight, you can go out with a pilot and kind of fly a plane. Not kind of, you do it. And it was so bad, the panic in her mom, that he didn't go because she was just so fucking panicked over it. So it never got off the ground.
That's good. That's a good joke.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I've been working on it.
Well, the listeners tune into the Super J-Cast. Well, that kind of cutting edge humor, we love it. We love to hear it.
We do. How are we feeling?
Damon,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was rewatching Wrestle Kingdom 10 last night.
Really?
Remember what the main event of that was? Remember that brilliant main event? The culmination of the Okada versus Tanahashi feud. Do you remember the iconic moment from that match?
Are we talking about the tier? Is that the one where everyone thought Okada was winning and he didn't? Is that 10?
No, that was Wrestle Kingdom 9. So this was Wrestle Kingdom 10. So this is a year after his Kikuchi moment where, Wrestle Kingdom 9, he was led away from the ring in tears. But Wrestle Kingdom 10 came back, and at the crucial point of that Okada versus Tanahashi match, do you remember what it was? The camera zoomed right in on this, and it was
the wrist control, right?
That's right. So
All right.
For people who don't know, this is Okada grabbing onto Tanahashi's wrist and to set him up for the Rainmaker, his finishing move. For those of you who are not familiar with Kazuchika Okada, that was his finisher, where he would grab a guy by the wrist and do like a ripcord short arm lariat. And in this moment, he had Tanahashi by the wrist, and Tanahashi was trying to get out of that wrist control. He couldn't, and then Okada hit him with the Rainmaker and won the match. But upon rewatching that match and that moment specifically, Damon, I think, in my humble opinion, it's quite clear that Hiroshi Tanahashi did not enjoy having his wrist grabbed like that. He wasn't just being vocal and dramatic. He was growling and scratching and was clearly trying to get away from Okada, who seemed to take some kind of cruel pleasure in tormenting Tanahashi like that. And even worse, celebrating that behavior in a very public place, very public forum. And honestly, I just think those kinds of actions are disgusting. And it is up to us as fans to call that out and not just let Okada get away with it and keep on memeing or recycling things that were popular 6 or 7 years ago for clout or whatever it is he does these days, because he claims to enjoy and appreciate Hiroshi Tanahashi. He says he's gone deep in debt paying for tests and medicine and specialist food for Hiroshi Tanahashi. He says they've had a great relationship over the past few years. He says he supports an individual who helps save and rehome Tanahashis in Turkey, and that his wife volunteers for a local Tanahashi charity. But I'm calling bullshit on that. That is an absurd non-apology. Even my children can recognize the signs of a distressed Tanahashi. And if they did wrist control on Tanahashi, I would have harsh words with them. So for an adult who claims to love Tanahashi, to treat him in such a vile manner is quite frankly appalling. The man is clearly nothing more than a Tanahashi abuser. I'm going to say it. Tanahashi abuser. Also, on a completely unrelated note, if anyone can tell me what wrestling things happened on this date in 2016, please get in touch, because the guy I usually go to for that extremely valuable content has actually blocked me on Twitter for some unknown reason, and I don't know what to do with myself, Damon.
Oh, I love you. You are the most petty fucking asshole I love. You are. I
told you it was going to be good.
You really. I mean, you set the bar so high, and then you just exceed it every time. Oh, God Almighty. Well, I'll leave it at this. If you know, you know, and I'm sure there are.
That's out of the bag, so to speak. But we'll leave it at that.
Oh, where's my snare? Sorry, Dan. Here you go. We got to do it. All right.
We earned that one. We worked hard for that.
We really did. We really, really fucking did. Oh, well, look, what a world we live in. What a time to be alive here on July 30th. All right. Well, look, I love your prose. I love the way that you like a well-constructed, just the cadence, just beautiful. Work of art as always, sir. Work of art as always. Love it. All right. On that note, goddamn, we are busy beavers.
Talk about this, haven't we?
We are busy beavers. We are busy.
Bloody good wrestling going on.
Yeah, there is. But first, I do have a question for you, sir. I need football Joel to put his cap on. Who's the guy you just signed? I saw a crawl late last night that you guys signed a guy for a lot of moolah. Talk to me a little bit. What can I expect from this jabroni?
So his name is Riccardo Calafiori, which is an amazing name. I just love saying it. I've just been walking around the house going, Riccardo Calafiori, and my children say, why are you saying that, Dad? It sounds cool. Very fertile ground for coming up with good chants and puns, like California Dreaming. That'll be a good one, I think. Or California. Like, there's definitely stuff you can do with that. He's Italian, obviously, with a name like that. We signed him from Bologna. He is a left back, and that's been a bit of a shaky position for us. We've had a couple of people sort of cycling in and out of that role, and it has been the kind of situation where you play sort of high-level football matches, and it's, find the dope, where, you're looking for the weak link in the opposition team, and teams have frequently been targeting us down out in our left back position because it's not been as defensively solid as our middle or our right. So hopefully Calafiori is going to shore that up, because he's a big lad. He likes a duel, and he's also quite attacking. So I'm hoping that he's able to build some relationships with whoever is playing on the left wing for us. I don't know if that's going to be Martinelli or Trossard or even Gabriel Jesus. But I'm quite annoyed about one thing, which is his fantasy football price. Because I was hoping he'd come in, as a relative unknown and unproven Premier League asset. He's never played in England before. I thought he'd be really cheap. I was hoping he'd come in at like 5 million or something, and I could put him in my team, knowing what I know. Just taking a bit of a punt on him. But he's coming at 6 million, which is outrageous. And no, I can't put him in my team. I can't justify putting him in my team at that price. So very upset with that. Get rid of him. Terrible signing. And what are you doing, Arsenal?
Well, I mean, look, I think I saw that, and what else did I see? I saw the coach from the national team finally got booted. I'm sure that there was a toast at the house when you got that news.
I struggle to kind of reconcile Gareth Southgate and his legacy in my mind, because he is on, in terms of results, our second most successful manager ever. He's got us to 2 finals, 2 Euros finals, a World Cup semi-final, and that's nothing to be sniffed at. But there's also this kind of vague sense that, well, not vague sense, overwhelming sense that we are less than the sum of our parts. And with a more tactically savvy manager, we could have possibly gone a step further than that. But we'll wait and see. It depends who the
you lost by 1 goal. You know what I mean? 1 fucking goal. Like, you're right there. I mean, but here's the thing too. Like, I hate to make the comparison, but the Leafs are the same thing in the sense that, they got all this firepower, and they got all these stars, and they got, they've been trying for decades and all that shit. And, the one constant is the revolving door of coaches, and you're just kind of looking for the right voice and the right team and the right, all that. So, I mean, there might be something to that, even though he's had success. To fucking cross the finish line is the most important thing. Like just being good isn't good enough for a team like Arsenal, right? Like, it's just not. Like, you need trophies to fucking justify the costs. So, no, I get it. I'm looking at your team's in town tomorrow to play Liverpool.
You gonna go?
Well, tickets are still a little pricey. No, I don't have a ticket. Yeah. Lowest get-in price is $118, and that does not include fees. So I'll see what they have tomorrow. Like, maybe there's some, people just trying to dump tickets. Hopefully, doesn't look like there's a ton of tickets left over though. But I would go. Like, if the price were right, I would go. I can't justify the 100, but if I can get under 100, I'll sit at the top. I don't give a fuck. I would go. Yes. All right. So those are the questions I had. All right. Now look, let's get right into the meat and potato. Or what am I telling you what to do? You know what to do. But I think we got a lot of good pro wrestling we can talk about.
Yeah. First thing I wanted to touch on with regards to the Grade 1 Climax is the crowds, because it seemed, I think it was night 4, the crowd sounded bad. And it sounded bad to me, and everyone else who was watching said that it was a bad crowd. But friends of ours who were actually at the venue said that was not the case, and that the crowd were actually good, but it just wasn't getting picked up by the mic. So I just wanted to just throw that into the mix before we start shitting on the good fans, domestic fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling. That, yeah, just because we can't hear the noise doesn't necessarily mean it's there. And that's basically given us carte blanche to rewrite history. And anytime there's a crowd response that doesn't fit narratives that we've constructed, we can say, well, actually, our friends who were at the venue said that the crowd were going absolutely mental for, I don't know, Katsuya Murashima, and everyone else is talking crap. But yeah, I don't really know what my point is here, but just to tell you that the people in the venue said that the crowd was good.
No, I think it's a valid statement, and yeah, I was privy to that conversation as well. Look, I'll be honest. I thought my initial reaction was it felt like the crowd was like, oh, just a little flat or a little, I don't know, maybe a little reserved. But look, we've all seen different crowds in different venues when it comes to Japanese pro wrestling, and sometimes it seems like they're ready to lose their fucking skull, and stomping their feet and, going berserko. And I will also say that there have been times, even in the Tokyo Dome, where I've felt like, wow, the crowd is really up for it. And then rewatching it, and it's like, it feels like there's crickets, it's nothing. I will say this too, like a lot of these like, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. If you watched it and you came to the same conclusion I did, like, I think it's valid. But know that, yeah, I mean, at least in-house, it was maybe a little bit of a different story. I wish New Japan would do a better job with that technology, quite honestly, to better mic the arena. That being said, a lot of these arenas
bring
are
back
just
the cheering app. Remember that one they did during COVID, where fans would press the button, like a vacuum cleaner noise.
Yeah, that. Oh my God, you brought back some memories. I'm just thinking back, like, holy, like, just all the COVID era stuff that the people had to go through, like the cardboard cutouts of fans in stands. Did you have that one? Oh God, so terrible. Like, teams would have
sometimes just
cardboard
things
cutouts.
will pop up, like particularly with regards to New Japan, like matches or feuds or events. And I'm like, that didn't happen.
Yeah,
That's preposterous. There's no way. I think people are just taking liberties now and doing like a psyop experiment to just see how much they can get away with retconning in a very traumatic period in all of our lives.
Right. But I get it. Like, I get the idea of it not coming through, but I hate, these venues, they're very cavernous. They certainly are. And they're like glorified convention centers, in some cases, where it's just like the roof goes forever. Again, no excuse. I'm sure that people would be like, wow, I remember this All Japan show back in, it was, the crowds are gone crazy. You could hear it. And, I'm with you. But yeah, I wish it would have translated a little bit better through the television. It just, perception is reality, right? Perception is reality. So,
Next thing I wanted to talk about was attendances, particularly for the last two shows, which was night 6 and night 7. So our good personal friend Liam tweeted at us to tell us it was another bad night for New Japan draws in Fukuoka Kokusai. So 1,780 on the 28th and 1,757 on the 29th. So by point of comparison, Liam offers up a 2020 Best of Super Juniors World Tag League block night where there was no cheering and 50% crowds, which did 2,389. So he's saying these G1 shows with a major Naito Sanada match did 500 fewer fans than the bad night one of Dontaku 2024. And he says they've done G1 shows after Dontaku and Fukuoka, most recently in 2018 and 2019, though at a different venue. And he's offered up some attendance numbers for that. So 3,580, which was headlined by Okada Suzuki. And then 2019, there was a show that did 3,758 with Goto and Ishii in the main event for that. But some people have offered counter arguments to that, saying that running a G1 double shot after doing two Dontaku shows in that area, although not the same arena, but that area, will affect the attendance because they barely went there even during their peak years. So in 2015 onwards, they were doing about 2 to 3K there for single G1 shows. So 2 obviously did worse. And if you ignore the amount of times they go to a place to cherry pick stats. So I'm reading tweets here from MDM on Twitter at mdarkmagician02. So they're making the point that going to these areas more frequently is definitely going to have an impact on the attendance and also the context. So the Monday show was not a holiday; it was a non-holiday Monday. Fukuoka is not typically a great market. That's why they only would go there a couple of times a year, even in the modern boom period. And then Lost in Ube says it's not like having an extra 2 million people in Hakata during the Dontaku might have an effect on attendance or anything like that. So there are some counter arguments being offered to justify those attendances. But I mean, if you just take at face value what Liam has said, seeing these 2 G1 shows where we did around 1,700 compared to 2,300 for that COVID Best of Super Juniors World Tag League block night, do you think that's a fair comparison point, or do you think we're sort of cherry picking stuff here to try to make New Japan look bad?
I mean, I don't. I think the arguments on both cases, on both sides, are in good faith, right? I don't think anybody's intentionally like, let me point out some negative stuff, and not only negative stuff, but kind of skew it to fit a narrative, right? I don't think that's the case in either. And because they're both technically right. Here's the thing, though. I will say this. On the one hand, and I'm trying not to straddle the line here. I'm trying to give you a fucking opinion either way. One, if I don't care what it is, dude. Like, if it's Bruce Springsteen, if it's a football, tournament, if it's whatever, a hot product is a hot product, and people will buy tickets to a hot product. And you could say that, okay, there's fatigue, there's whatever reasons, it's the middle of the week, whatever. A hot product is going to fucking sell. I truly believe that. That being said, I can't just fucking hand wave the fact that people have lives. People, only, and once again, the yen is down. So, people might be a little bit more frugal with their money than maybe they were before. Who knows, right? I am not going to lose my fucking skull over 500 tickets. I'm not. Would I have liked to have seen a number that equaled that of previous years? Of course, 1,000%. I think everybody would. But I don't think that there's any, I'm not pressing a panic button. I'm not pressing this isn't getting over with fans. I will also say that a hot product does take a little bit of time. Like, it's not overnight where it's like, we drew 2,000, or maybe a better example. We drew 500 and then we drew 2,000. Could it be? Yeah, it can happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I would say usually it doesn't. It takes a little bit for things to heat up for those numbers to progress, unless you're like hot shotting some fucking main event, you're flying in some megastar. The bottom line is this. I think both arguments can be made, and I think both arguments are valid. I'm not worried about either side. I'm really not. I'm not. I don't think this is a case of, Naito's not a draw, or whomever is carrying the undercard isn't helping, or it's the young guys.
May I interrupt with a couple of questions that point to a specific reason here and see what your thoughts are on it.
Yes.
The Morning Progress says, seems not unnatural to blame some of the North American wrestler title wins misses for what's happening, but is the attendance issue not a perfectly normal thing you'd expect from a rebuilding company that just shed a ton of name value to present a more focused G1 of new names? And the Bebler says, is the alarming drop-off in Fukuoka attendance a sign that the good people of Fukuoka are punishing New Japan for giving them Dolph Ziggler and Sleepy John Moxley in main events the last time they were there? So, keeping the context here of the last time they ran Fukuoka, that it was all those weird title wins from the Whites.
Yeah, they did hand them a steaming pile of shit. That's for certain. I don't know. Like I said, if Do I think those shows turned people off from buying tickets again? No, because I mean, I think anybody would take a show at face value, right? Even if you don't know, well, here's the thing, they knew the main events for a while, right? They might not have known the entire lineups, but they knew main events for a little bit. So I don't know. Like, I would love to pinpoint the drop in. Well, that was the reason you fucked them over, and they have no confidence in you, and blah 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 blah. You know, you look at the lineup and you'd be like, "Oh, that looks like a sexy show. I gotta fucking go." Right? And that was like one of the biggest challenges I had with modern wrestling promoting is that, you know, and New Japan is just as guilty as this as anyone else, is they announce a show, a date, a venue, and charge ridiculous money for ringside seats, and you have no idea what you're getting. And it's, you know, that luck of the draw where you're like, oh, I paid this much money for this fucking dumb show. But, you know, on the other hand, it's like, oh, I paid this much money and I got this. What value? To answer the question, like, here's really the bottom line. And I think I said it on previous shows. I can't put much stock in an individual result, right? Give me trends. Give me, you know, consistently this area is down or this area is up. One show, there's so many other factors that play into it that can impact it. Weather, the fucking day of the week, is it a holiday or not?
Do you want a So this is Harley Duncan from Voices of Wrestling said that this year's G1 has drawn 15,066 people compared to last year's 13,941 through 7 nights. So obviously this is without Tanahashi, Okada, and Ospreay. So cumulatively, and again, there's a, you know, this is not a square peg in a square hole here, but cumulatively they have drawn about 1,000 more fans than last year.
Okay. Again, excellent to hear. Great. And there could be areas that are driving that increase, right? It could be, you know, Fukuoka might be down, but fucking Sendai might be up, or you know, Hiroshima might be mega up, even though it might not be either. But you get my point, right? Again, I try not to take individual numbers with, oh, we're dead, or oh, we're back. It's hard. I'm looking at trends over the year, and again, trying to take that individual region or city and those trends throughout. I think that's a more solid indicator of fan interest and if they feel like they've been burnt out. Now, again, Philadelphia is a great example of a town that I feel like New Japan has totally fucking burnt out in the sense of consistently okay shows, and you're not really getting all the talent that you would think, and you really don't feel like you're at a New Japan show. You feel like you're on this separate island, and there's only so many times that you can do that before people are start, you know, like, oh, I don't know, this is for, you know, if I don't know if I'm ready to invest more money in that. But again, once again, I'll just say I try not to put too much stock in individual events.
With any rebuilds, it takes time, doesn't it? Like, to use
Yes.
Arsenal as an example, when Mikel Arteta took over, there were a lot of growing pains with that rebuild where we looked crap. Like, we looked like we'd actually got worse than when he took over. And it took a long time to start seeing the benefits of that rebuild. And also it took a long time for the relationship between the fans and the club to be rebuilt and repaired.
That's
and I
the
think
key.
we're seeing that with New Japan. So it's not going to happen overnight. And I'm not fussed about it, to be honest, as long as they are pushing the right people and making the right moves, making the right changes, and putting on good shows and good wrestling matches, then I think that the crowds will follow. So, yeah, it's not something I'm worried about at all, because I think this G1's been really good.
No doubt. I mean, we've said it 1,000 times, haven't we? That, you know, like, we're in the right direction. I truly and honestly feel that. And I feel like the majority of fans who watch the product are in that same category. We are in the right direction. Is it going to take a little time to kind of get the momentum going? I think so. I think and that's fair. And will we take a step backwards or two periodically? Probably, knowing this company. Yeah, absolutely. But again, as long as I'm confident that we're moving in the right direction, I think all those things will fall into place. I really, truly do. Now, again, this could all go fucking tits up, right? This could all just fucking be like, just didn't work. At least they fucking tried, right? And except, instead of this holding pattern that I felt like we were in. And, the only difference between the sports analogy and the pro wrestling analogy is that they have a lot of control over, how this looks, feels, and is presented. In fact, they have, I would say 90% of the control of that. Whereas, sports, there's so many different variables that go along with that. Let's give it some time. I'm okay. I think we'll be all right. We're going to be okay. As they say in Reservoir Dogs, as he gets shot in the stomach. Remember that song? You're going to be, say it. You're going to be okay. And he's like, my stomach. Sorry.
I need to rewatch that film. The only bit, the musical bit I remember is the Stuck in the Middle with You bit.
Oh, yeah, the ear. Oh, it's fucking disturbing, isn't it? That fucking thing. Yeah, that's a fucked up thing. That was that scene, I think, has, when you watch that, it's just like, it just sticks with you. You're just like, whoo, this guy is fucking deranged. You're going to be okay. It's fucking unbelievable. What a scene. He's in the back, bleeding in the back, just squirming. Say, are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? No. You're going to be okay. All right, I'll stop.
Great stuff. I need to rewatch because these references just go straight over my head. So I apologize. And there's people at home who are very familiar with Reservoir Dogs who are just hooting and hollering right now, David. So don't take my failure to react to these great references as a sign that they're not good, because I think we need more movie references in this Super J-Cast, not fewer. So anyway, I'm going to move on. This is a tricky podcast to do, Damon, because when we're slapping the middle of the G1 season, it's very hard to structure these shows in a way where we're not just repeating what we said about the 20 wrestlers last week. So has there been that much of a change between nights 1 to 3 and nights 4 to 7? Some cases, yes. A lot of cases, no. So I figured rather than going through those 20 matches, match by match, I thought we'll just check in on wrestlers. Some guys we won't have anything new to say about because they've not done anything worthy of conversation. But I think there are some interesting talking points. So we'll start, as we did last week, we'll just go through A block and B block, starting from the top, where we have Evil, who is unbeaten, 5-0, the only person in the entire Grade 1 Climax who is sitting on a perfect record so far. He beat Tetsuya Naito and Callum Newman. He has Great O'Khan coming up next. And as I predicted last week, I think he was a good, reliable base for Naito, despite all the criticism that the Naito and Evil feud of 2020 gets from people. I thought this was... they really leaned in on the shenanigans in that one. Everyone was just spitting various fluids at each other. Although I will say, sort of writ large, Evil has dialed back on the shenanigans. They're still there, but they're kind of done more selectively for dramatic effect rather than just being liberally spread throughout the entire match. Because obviously President Tanahashi's made some promises about cutting back on that stuff, and I'm curious as to whether we are building up to like an in-ring or a kayfabe payoff to that, where Tanahashi or a Tanahashi representative actually gets involved and stops this from happening. That could be something towards the end of the tournament, because I'm looking at the fact that he's got Shota on the final night and whether something might happen there. But in spite of that, Evil is winning a lot of these matches like relatively cleanly by his standards in terms of the actual sequence that ends the match. Where instead of Dick Togo choking someone and Evil punching them in the dick and then hitting the Evil and pinning them, there's actually a bit of wrestling at the end of it, which has been quite refreshing. I think this has been one of his better tournaments. Dare I say his best G1 since 2017? I thought that was probably his standout one, but I found him quite entertaining here. He's not been stinking up the place. People are not complaining about him. The fact that he's 5-0, the only person who's 5-0, and no one is really moaning about that, I think speaks volumes about the effort he's putting in, and also how well the tournament is being booked as a whole, that people are not losing their minds over this. And the fact that they're front-loading all these wins for Evil makes me think he's ironically less likely to make the playoffs. But either way, I think it's going to be a big scout for whoever does knock him out at the end of the tournament.
Look, I have not been in any way, shape, or form like hand waving Evil during this tournament. Like, I'm not saying that he's, the second coming of fucking Masawa, but like, I think I got to go a little bit higher here and say my overall feelings of G1 has been, I am in love with this tournament, number one. And one of the main reasons is, like, I'm constantly on the edge of my seat when it comes to the results. Like, I think it's fucking great that Evil, again, everyone knows he's not one of my favorites, but the fact that, again, the names that he has beaten is pretty fucking significant, I think. And the fact that you're right, they've front-loaded his wins, which does, to me, at least on paper, scream, hey, we're eventually going to have a drop-off here, and it's going to mean something, and that should be some pretty cool moments.
Can I just jump in? I'll tell you, his last 4 opponents are Great Khan, Shingo, Zack, Shota. So I could easily see him losing all of those matches.
Possibly. But the great part is possibly, right? Like, again, I haven't looked in at the great Chris Sams's site, the G1 tournament in the past couple days. But I have been, mind you.
sportofprowrestling.com.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if he did it himself coding or he got somebody to help him or whatever the case.
I think it was Jeremy Sexton from Voices of Wrestling who helped him do it. But
really,
we've thrown flowers at them before.
Unbelievable job,
because it's outstanding.
Unbelievable job. Like, seriously, I'm not just fucking blowing smoke up these two dudes' asses. Like, you click on your results, you see who you picked. It's laid out perfectly, like visually appealing. Like, what a fucking great job they've done. Okay, that aside, I love the fact that it has been, to me at least anyway, completely unpredictable. And I don't think many people, obviously somebody's winning this fucking pool, but like, did anybody see Evil going 5-0? And again, especially against a Jake Lee, or especially against fucking Sonata, or especially against Naito. Like I find that to be like really interesting and fun. The fact that I don't know who's going to win. I sit there and I turn it on and it's like, I have no fucking idea. That to me is boner material. And okay, we're kind of halfway through it. And Evil's got 10 points, totally fucking cool with it. Because I think, again, will that remain the same? I mean, he's going to be in the mix, obviously, but I don't necessarily think that. I think this is more of a setup for other people to launch as opposed to him dominating and going on. Now, once again, I could be dead wrong, right? And he does run the fucking table. Great. Fantastic. Go for it. Just because it keeps me guessing. So, and here's the thing too, he has not been terrible. He has not been somebody where it's like, oh, instant fucking fast forward, where you had to sit through like a Yano match or a fucking, I don't know, Bad Luck Fale or shit, where you just like instantly, I don't care who the opponent, fast forward. No, it hasn't been that way.
He's working hard, isn't he? He's not phoning it in at all.
Nope. He's absolutely has. I mean, case in point, we talked about it, I think last week was the match against Gabe Kidd. A little walk and brawly, but it was a lot more than that. I thought the Naito match was I think Naito's had his struggles this tournament. I can't put a lot of that on Evil. Hell, I even enjoyed to a certain degree. And again, I know mixed results, but Jake Lee match I thought was decent. Like, I don't know. I'm totally okay with where he stands, and I think he's had a better than expected tournament, and I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Right, then we've got Zack Sabre Jr., who is 4-1. He's got 8 points. So since we last spoke, he beat Jake Lee, and then he lost to Shota Umino. He's got Shingo Takagi up next. So I think Zack is quietly having an outstanding tournament, because you don't really take notice anymore when Zack has a great match. I thought he was probably maybe helped Jake Lee to his best match so far in Jake's tournament, at least. And I thought he was excellent in bringing out the babyface fire for Shota Umino and having that sort of dynamic comeback story kicking off with Shota there. So, yeah, Zach's great. What else can I say about Zack Sabre Jr.? He's a brilliant pro wrestler and just going from strength to strength in this company.
Yeah, I mean, look, once again, I sat here talking about evil. The one loss from Zach on that sits on Shota's mantelpiece right now with the big win. I love that match. I love the reversals. I loved it. To me, it didn't. And here's the thing too. There was a small piece of me that was like, okay, Zach's really locking him in, right? He's got this fucking leg lock on, and he's got a multiple leg lock on, and it's just like he's trying to crawl for the ropes, Shota, and it's like, okay, he's going to tap out, and then gets pulled back into the boat. He's going to tap out, and didn't. And I'm like, oh no, and then when he hit the ropes, I'm like, oh fuck, Zach's losing. He really did. I was like, oh, I can't believe it. He's going to fucking lose.
He's actually did some good selling as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he sold his arm very well. He sold his ribs earlier in the tournament, which is. Yeah, he's not typically been a guy that I associate with very good at selling of a body part, but he's been doing that really well in this tournament too.
Yeah. But he's just such a fucking rock. Like such a, I don't know. Like, look, if he's on the show, no matter who's he's in the ring with, like it's going to be at least good, if not great. I do believe that there is something to be said. Like if you just can't wrap your head around the style or it just doesn't mean much to you. I mean, no, I can't talk you into it. I mean, it is what it is. But even then, I think that people you might not think he's like your favorite, but like, I just think people can sit there and appreciate the fact that he makes everything like it's kind of like when people talk about Bret Hart in the sense that what do they always say about Bret Hart or Dynamite Kid or whatever? The snap and crisp and all these adjectives to describe how he works. And I think, a lot of times you talk about Zach and it's like creativity and transitions and smoothness and creativity. I think you have to sit there and just be like, okay, that all is true. Like, even if he's not one of your favorites, like even if you like something completely polar opposite, you have to sit there and be like, gotta respect that fucking guy because he can just be so creative in the ring. It's really amazing what he can do. And yeah, I think again he'll be in the mix, but I gotta praise that Shota match. And again, I was down on Shota, earlier. And again, let's be very clear here. Well, you know what? I don't think Zach necessarily carried it. I think it was pretty even Steven in the quality department for both guys. So yeah, but he's been great. He's just been a fucking stud.
Then we've got Gabe Kidd, who is sitting on 6 points. He's 3-2. So since we last recorded, he lost to Sanada and then beat Shingo Takagi. And his next opponent is Tetsuya Naito. David Bentley Fart says, was Kidd versus Shingo the match of the tournament so far? Gabe seems confident in the ring and capable of handling the big boys if he gets pushed. It is right up there. That match just gave me life. And I was a little bit apprehensive because they have wrestled before, Gabe and Shingo, and it's been underwhelming. But this one just knocked it out of the park for me. Is it my favorite match of the tournament? I think it's on par with another match we'll talk about later. But this is, I think, the proof of concept that Gabe is him. Gabe is the guy. He should be in the same tier as the Musketeers. Again, I'm going back to what Manabu said, where he said he thinks the real three Musketeers are Tsuji, Yuya, and Gabe. And that is a take that is aging like a fine wine, particularly after watching this match where just Gabe, he just gets it. Just the way he structures the matches. This is not just like mindlessly hitting each other. Just the little things like he's picked up the little Ishii touch of when they're doing the chop exchange and Gabe's about to fire back with the retaliatory chop, but then just the pain of the chop he's just received just washes over him and he just crumples and he just winces and is not able to fire back. So it's not like they're just no selling moves to each other. Just the way that the drama is built up and layered and paced absolutely perfectly. And the fans love this guy. You heard it during this match, the Gabe chants against Shingo which is really, really impressive. And gets his big win, and the crowd are loving it. And then just that little post-match fake out where he's just teasing the babyface turn, is going to shake Shingo's hand, but it's just like, no, kicks him in the balls just because he can. I don't know if he was instructed to do that or if he was riffing or whatever, but this guy not only has the in-ring stuff down to a T, but the way he's starting to manipulate the crowd is very, very exciting. And again, I asked the question, what is he bad at? What can this guy not do? What is stopping him from being world champion in the future? Because he's lapping certain guys. He's lapping some of his peers in this tournament.
Like, I'm going to say this. I don't know if every single thing he does sticks with me, right? But the unpredictability and the nothing seems forced. Everything seems genuine and sincere. And it feels like he just fucking goes rogue a lot, right? And there is an element of, in a world where we're barraged with pre-scripted interviews and writers and agents and, scripting.
Can you just imagine this, David? So just interrupt for in the future, if Gabe Kidd signs with like WWE, and imagine like a segment, our guest at this time,
right?
Gabe Kidd,
right.
Hands back.
And he looks off into the distance. He's looking off. I don't know what he's looking at, like a fucking dust bunny on the fucking rafter.
He's been watching his rivals match on a monitor at 45-degree angle.
right. Here's one thing that I do like about New Japan Pro Wrestling. The fact that it feels like there is a lot of creative freedom that is given to the individuals to find themselves, right? And I love the unpredictability of him. I love the fact that you constantly and consistently don't know what the fuck's going to come out of his mouth, let alone what is he going to do next. Like, I feel like that's an element in pro wrestling that's sorely missed. And again, without the need of a writer, without the need of just like putting someone in a fucking package. He's got flaws. He's got rough edges. He's got, shit that probably wouldn't get the recognition if he were in other promotions. He has it. Make no mistake about it. And I love the fact that right in front of our eyes, we watch it and we witness it and we see the development and we see him just fucking constantly leaping over hills to achieve what he's been able to achieve. Like, that's fucking awesome to me. And he's made it its own and it feels sincere and genuine. Yeah, they have something with him, which is not only great to see, I think a lot of people would say unexpected. Like, I know that people like wanted great things for him, but I don't know if a lot of people, and I will give you credit for being on that fucking train and leading it, because you were a person and a voice who very early was on the Gabe Kidd train. In fact, I'll go so far as to say you fucking put the engine in the train. I don't know. It's just such a fucking great feeling to see pro wrestling presented that way. Just a little bit off kilter. And once again, it's like a punk band. They might not be fucking, Stevie Ray Vaughan or Yngwie Malmsteen or whatever, and I can hit 92 notes and my scales are No, I want grittiness and I want not perfect, because to me, I'd rather have the emotion and the genuineness of it as opposed to I'm this perfect fucking Celine Dion, not a fucking hair out of place. That to me is not interesting. He's interesting. He's somebody that I want to watch. And I'm glad they're giving him the opportunity. And I'm glad he's able to take the ball and run with it. So, yep, thumbs up. And one more thing about Gabe Kidd. I didn't know, like when he was nose to nose with Hiroshi Tanahashi, either Hiroshi Tanahashi shrunk or he's grown, right? Because it was a pretty eye to eye, it felt like. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, he's very beefy, very wide. He's the amount of muscle he's packed on in recent years is impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, he's doing everything right. I really truly feel that. I know there are people that are like, all right, we get it. You're a loose cat. You're a wild guy. Blah, blah, blah. We get it. You're a fucking mad lad. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, okay.
You got to look past that. There's more to it than that.
I agree. 1,000%.
It's really reductive, like surface level analysis just because he says fuck too much, which he does. Right. Like, I think I agree with that, but there's more to it than that.
1,000%.
The fans love him.
That's true too. You can see that. You can see them. Because again, I truly believe that all the things that I talked about, like the fans see it. You know what I mean? And you could just kind of sense that they gravitate to that. Once again, why do you think Terry Funk was so besides being a great wrestler, mind you, but he had that. Like that was a thing. And do I think Gabe has that type of thing? I really do.
We have Shota Umino also sitting on 6 points with 3 wins and 2 losses. So he beat Great-O-Khan and Zack Sabre Jr. since we last spoke. He has Sanada next. I think both the O-Khan match and the Zack match were very good. I mean, in terms of what Umino is delivering in the ring, I think it's all on point. I don't have any criticisms about the way the matches are structured or what he's doing, like physically, or his comebacks or the amount of passion or energy he's bringing to it. To me, that's all absolutely fine. He's firing on all cylinders there. I just think, and again, this is not a hot take, everyone knows this, he's lacking a cohesive identity, and also he's lacking an emotional hook with the fans. Because in a lot of these matches, like the Great-O-Khan one, the fans are cheering for Great-O-Khan more than they're cheering for Shota Umino, which is a failure on Shota's part. So that is an issue that may necessitate a change. And I don't know if this is like he can lean into the dark ace kind of thing, because there's a lot of guys doing that at the moment who are doing it better than probably he could. So he needs to go away and have a think about that, and maybe ask some of his fellow professionals and those who've come before him for some advice and tips on what he can do to win back the fans, because I will say that's all he's lacking, but that is quite a big thing to be lacking.
You might want to work on winning over the locker room. Kidding, of course. I don't know. I'm still on the fence, man. Like sometimes I feel like it's there, and sometimes I feel like he just feels so uncomfortable in his own skin. When he puts it together, it can be really good. And I think that if he puts it together consistently, he could be really good. I just don't have any confidence in him because he doesn't have any confidence in him, right? In something like pro wrestling, like you need that. Like if you don't have that, then it's I think that's like one thing that's more out in the open than the physical ability to have a good match. Like that aura of confidence. And I'm not saying you have to be the fucking Rock. I'm saying be yourself. But, let's put it this way. Gabe Kidd found it. Like the things that I feel like Gabe Kidd is, that's what Shota lacks. It's not technical stuff. It's not, how to take a fucking flat back bump. It's just not it. It's being comfortable in your own skin and being that authentic guy. That I just don't see it in him. And that just might be the way that he carries and conducts himself. What's Yoshihashi, right? We've said it for many fucking years. Like that's the vibes I get from him. That he's uncomfortable with the amount of focus on him, good and bad. And that's in the ring, that's outside the ring, that's having a famous dad, that's having, a very recognizable name wrestler kind of, I don't want to say take him under his wing early, but okay, there is that. Like there's a lot of different things that I just feel like he's just Not yet, and maybe it will come. I just feel like he is awkward in his own skin. And maybe he grows out of that.
Mm-hmm. Should be relatable, but
Yeah.
alas, not yet. Shingo Takagi, he is on 4 points, so he's 2-3 since we last spoke. He lost to Callum Newman and lost to Gabe Kidd. He's got Zack Sabre Jr. next, and I thought he did outstanding work. Like I've accused Shingo a few times this year of not really going all out, because we know on his day when he puts in full effort, he is one of the best on the planet, and he hasn't done that. I feel a lot of his matches earlier this year were less than the sum of their parts. But again, he is a guy who's, I've just repeated myself, I've said on previous shows, he's not getting any younger, and I can totally understand and even justify him picking his spots. Like, I'm not expecting him to kill himself in every single match. But these two matches, specifically against Callum Newman and Gabe Kidd, I thought he did a masterful job in making his two young British opponents look like a big deal and making them look like potential future stars, current stars. Both of them, he just seems to be putting in more effort here than a lot of the big singles matches earlier in the year, and it is paying off. It's exactly what I want to see from Shingo, and I think he's been brilliant so far.
Yeah, he's in a weird block in that you got Shota in this block, you got Callum in this block, you got Gabe in this block.
I mean, lying down for Callum Newman, like I'm sure that there are other guys on Shingo's level who, if management had come up to him and say, right, you're eating a pin to Callum Newman here, they would tell them to fuck right off.
And you know, that might be the case. It could be, and I always tend to credit wrestlers when on paper you would think they had the stroke to not, you know, to have a say in, I'm not doing that, brother. I feel like whatever levels of that might have been in a New Japan Pro Wrestling locker room, and I could be dead wrong, and I think, you know, we can reach out to maybe some people that we know, right, that would have firsthand knowledge. Like I'm wondering if there is a sense or a vibe of people willing to go the extra mile to help put over younger stars that maybe wasn't always there in the past. I wonder, because you're right, Shingo doesn't have to fucking lie down to anybody, right? I mean, and he could have a real fucking piss poor attitude about it, and he can lie down, but the match might not be decent, or, you know, he might be fucking sandbagging it. I don't think that's the case. Like, I don't know. There is a certain vibe in New Japan right now that it feels like everyone's rowing in the same direction, and whether that means I'm looking at the lights or tomorrow I win, and blah, blah, like there is that balance, and I truly appreciate that just about more than anything right now.
Tetsuya Naito is also on 4 points, so 2 wins, 3 losses. He lost to Evil and then beat Sanada, and he's got Gabe Kidd next. So I think the two matches, the Evil and Sanada matches, were a lot better. There were fewer jarring botches in that, and I thought that might be the case with two opponents that he's familiar with, that can be a good base for him. And I think Naito delivered on his part. Like the Evil match I talked about, the Sanada match I thought was decent. They kept it short. They were sort of playing the greatest hits, and I think that was definitely the right move rather than trying to drag it out to be a 28-minute classic. And maybe Naito shouldn't be doing matches like that anymore, but he didn't fuck anything up in these two matches. Destino looking a little bit wonky. I mean, the Destino led to him losing against Evil, because Evil reversed it and then hit his finishing move and was able to beat Naito. So I was wondering if that was signs that he was leaning into it in a kayfabe sense, and that they were going to tell the story that, the Destino is not doing the job anymore for Naito, because Walker Stewart mentioned that. So I was wondering if maybe Naito was on board with that and thinking, yeah, let's lean into that. Let's make it the story, and I've got to get a new finishing move. But then he just did it against Sanada, and it looked kind of okay, and then he beat Sanada with it. So I thought, okay, well, I guess they're not doing that then. So he's kind of steadied the ship here. I'm not waving the, hitting the panic button and saying, this is a disaster. But more encouraging signs here that perhaps Naito is becoming more aware of his own shortcomings and adjusting his matches accordingly.
I'm curious. I'm sure our stat friends who are more talented at pining through the numbers can verify. It feels to me that I can't remember a world champion going into a G1 and halfway through it, kind of looking as struggly-ish as he has. Like, I mean, we always talk about how, okay, when they lose, and they usually do, and it's never, they never make it to the finals, what have you, because the whole idea of winning the tournament, you're getting the shot, blah 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 blah, right?
You're world champion going 2-3,
right?
That's curious.
Right. Which had me thinking, and again, the mind wanders, but like, do you think a possibility that they would play up like an injury angle where he's unable to complete the G1? And that's kind of like the story of, okay, he never made it out. He has these 3 losses. He does have his entire autumn months sorted out with challengers, if we're going by who he lost to and what we can expect. I don't know.
I think we would have seen signs of that by now. There would have been some sort of injury that we would have seen him selling in these matches.
Well, I think sometimes like the leg, sometimes you think, and I don't know. I just find it very, like, again, it's exciting because, usually you're going into a lot of these matches with, okay, well, he's the champion, Naito's going to win, and away we go. And that's not always the case. Like, you're kind of left surprised. I'm surprised. Now, again, do I think 4 points is his future? No, I think it's a safe bet to say that he'd be more in the mix as we get moving along here. But even that being said, now his performances, I think it's unfair for anyone to kind of look at him and be like, well, he's lost a step. Of course he's lost a step. He's fucking held together with duct tape at this point for a myriad of different reasons. Yet, he still finds the wherewithal to get in the ring and have good matches, right? Are they of the Naito Ibushi, Naito Kenny final, whatever, him, Naito versus whomever in the past? Probably not, right? But I think it's unfair to put that on him. Now, I think it's fair to say, has he lost a step? I think so. I think it's obvious. But I think that there's absolute value in him. And I don't think that it's a case of, well, we got to get the fucking title off him immediately because he's just dog shit. I don't think that's the case at all. I will say that to me, it's been okay. He's been okay. He hasn't been terrible. I don't think he's been great. But, considering all that we've heard about him, you would think that he wouldn't even be in this fucking tournament, to be honest with you. And again, maybe he is leaning into the fact that, okay, let's lean into the, it's a 50-50 shot. I'm hitting this fucking Destino. And even when he does hit it, let's be honest here, it doesn't really look that great. I'm just kind of putting that out there. And again, maybe this is a thing where he says, okay, I got to change up my game and come up with something new. Who fucking knows? But he's been decent. He's been good. And trust me, I would be, let's put it this way. If I was in his shape, I probably wouldn't get out of fucking bed, let alone get in a ring and wrestle fucking Shingo or Great O'Khan or fucking Zack. Let's put it that way.
We've got Sanada, who's also on 4 points. He beat Gabe Kidd and lost to Naito. He's got Shota Umino next. I've got absolutely nothing to say about Sanada. I think he's been good. He's been fine.
I mean, he's been Sanada. Like it feels like any kind of rub that we thought he had from moving on to just 5 guys and whatever momentum we thought that was there, and obviously we had a title run and all. He's just not. He's just there. Like literally, no one deserves fucking 4 points more than Sonata. He is a 4-pointer. You know what I mean?
We're not seeing sloppy Sonata. Let's give him that. He's
no, we haven't. Yeah, but he is Sonata. He is 4-point Sonata. Like there is not a number next to a name that screams, "Yep, you got that right." Then 4 points for Sonata. Absolutely.
Callum Newman, 4 points. So he beat Shingo Takagi, lost to Evil. He's got Jake Lee up next. I've seen a lot of criticism for Callum Newman.
Really?
For his match structure, his finishing move. A lot of people saying like the Shingo match, which, as I suspected, was laid out very similarly to, and deliberately so, to echo Shingo Ospreay matches of yesteryear. But people complaining about why is an Ozcutter, which would not get a pinfall when it's Will Ospreay doing it, why is that suddenly putting away Shingo when it's a relative rookie doing it? Just to play devil's advocate, I would say this is the middle of a G1, so it's a more, in kayfabe, a more physically grueling tournament where lesser moves are getting the job done. We're seeing guys winning matches with lariats here in the G1. Which typically you wouldn't see. So I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt there. And look, I think I don't know why it is he's getting such a critical eye placed on his matches. Is it because he's British? Is it the Will Ospreay comparisons? Is it a fear that he will eventually leave for another promotion that's making people want to diminish his achievement so far? I don't know what it is, but I think he's been really, really good so far. I thought the Shingo match, it wasn't perfect. There were logistic holes in it and, issues with selling and coherence that I think are areas for Callum Newman to tighten up. But that's exactly what we expected. That's why he is in this G1.
Thank you.
To expect him to be put in this G1 and to be a perfect wrestler and seeing none of these flaws would be preposterous. He's not the finished article. We know that. He has been put into this tournament because he is young and inexperienced and is learning on the job. So I am grading his matches on a curve because of those reasons, and I'm expecting him to make these mistakes and to tighten up these things in the future because, no, he's not the finished article. Now, yes, he has room for growth, but what I am seeing from him so far, he's very, very exciting. And I think there's a real prospect on New Japan's hands here because we saw green shoots of it prior to the G1, but now he's been thrown in at the deep end and having matches like he's having against Shingo, and even the Evil match, he was very entertaining. That like little moments of him, jumping over Dick Togo to get back in the ring and things like that. The crowd are into him. I'm excited, Damon.
Yeah, you have every right to be. Like, I'm kind of surprised to hear that news that people are kind of shitting on him. One, he's incredibly young. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Isn't he just 21 or 22?
Yeah, he's the youngest G1 entrant, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Ever. And again, this is not me rattling off a list of excuses, but I think these are things that we have to consider. One, that. Two, this is his first G1. Everyone's first G1, everyone complains about them. I don't care who it is. Go down the fucking list and look at their first fucking G1. And people are like, why is this guy in? This guy sucks. This guy can't do it. It's like, okay, same fucking shit. Why did we want him in the first place? We wanted him in because with the understanding that he's a young guy who doesn't have a ton of miles on him that can do those things that you described. Big hop over Dick Togo, off the rail, boom, into the ring. That kind of shit. And still have good matches. Is everything there? Is everything put together? Is everything crisp? Is everything tidy and no. But why are because he's in G1 now we expect that from someone who's never been in one, has never experienced this level of fucking day in and day out grind. Talk to me in a year or two. Are people upset?
A quote from a former Arsenal manager, Arsene Wenger, where he was talking about choosing to play young players over more experienced players. where he was basically saying you pay for the education of young players with points. If he plays a 20-year-old centre-back, he knows that he's going to cost him points. If he plays a 28-year-old, maybe less talented, he's going to cost fewer points, but that's not giving a chance to a young player. So yeah, you could have put a Yoshihashi in the tournament and maybe had tighter matches and more stars or whatever, but then you're not giving the learning experience to the guys who need it, the guys who are going to be carrying the company over the next few years.
Yeah. I mean, like we don't have the same conversation over Sonata, right? Why? Because he's been in a fucking business so goddamn long. He's been in a multitude of promotions and big spots and all of that. Like if we're comparing him to, Callum Newman to Sonata or whatever, I mean, pick a person, Evil or whatever, I think it's a really unfair comparison. Just because he's in G1. He's in G1 for, again, we knew he was going to lose more than he won. We knew that there were going to be times when, okay, the fucking sweater string, you tug on it and your fucking sleeve falls off. We knew that. But he's in the ring, to learn and to gain experience. And also this, to present him in a fashion that fans can think of him as legitimate, right? Once again, I've said it 1,000 times, but here we go. The hardest thing in pro wrestling is to take an established guy who loses on the regular and then try to turn that person into someone I should invest in. That's the hardest fucking thing. The easiest thing to do is to debut someone hot out of the gate and boom, he destroys everybody and he fucking tears the building down and you're left with your mouth open like, what the fuck was that? Well, I guess this guy's a serious fucking threat. Like, that's hard to fucking do. And New Japan is built off that. That is their entire infrastructure of taking young talent and building them. Like there has to be a start. And God bless them. They had the balls to do it, to say, okay, kid, show us what you got. And let's build off of that for the future. So again, are you going to have moments where you're like, ooh, I didn't fucking go as smoothly as I would have liked? Well, okay, great. But know that you don't think he goes in the back and says, I fucked that up, motherfuck. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's walking back there and he's like, oh, well, I fucking nailed that one, didn't I, guys? Well, no, you didn't, you fucking idiot. You fucking screwed up 9 things and blah, blah. Like, he knows it. He knows it. Like, I don't know. Like, look, I'll never sit here and be like, don't fucking talk bad about Callum Newman, like I'm his fucking grandmother. But in the same breath, let's take a step back. Take a step back. Let's appreciate what we got here. And what we can have given a little bit of time and a little bit of experience.
Next, we have virtually undefeated Great-O-Khan on 2 points. So he lost the show to Umino, but defeated Jake Lee.
Yeah.
He's got Evil next. Are we ready to call it? We're going to give some love to Batcher on the Discord, who coined the Great-O-Khan is going on a run acronym Gokigawa. B. France says, he said, is Great-O-Khan having the greatest 0-point G1 ever, but no, it's no longer a 0-point G1.
No, he's not.
What do you think, Damon? Is Great-O-Khan going on a run? Because I'm convinced he's beating Evil in his next match, and the crowd are going to go fucking nuts over that one. All right, first, let's talk about the matches. I thought Shota match was very, very good. He brought the fire, brought the passion. He clearly doesn't really like Shota that much, and showed that in the match. And the crowd were, much like the Gabe match, were chanting for him and not for Shota. And the Jake Lee match was whatever, but you do what you can with the Jake Lee. But I can see him being Evil. He's got Naito on the last match. So I'm envisioning a scenario where Great-O-Khan wins all his remaining matches and then beats Naito on the final block night to book his place in the semifinals. Is it happening, Damon? Is Great-O-Khan going on a run?
It does feel like it, in the sense of
we're cooking.
Hear me out. Because I hate taking this fucking leap of faith, but I just can't see him with just 2 points, right? And like, it does kind of like it feels as if, and again, I could be dead wrong, that there is momentum building. Now, I will also say this. I feel like, and I don't think that this should be a shock to anyone. Trust me. I feel like there are people in that locker room, people who have say that love him. And I feel like there are people in that locker room who have a say that might not be as fond of him as others. And I feel like that ship sails wherever the wind blows, right? And whoever might have the louder voice in the room, right? That being said, and again, I could be wrong about that, but it just kind of feels that way. We all can kind of put a little fucking line in the sand of when things were great and when things just felt like it fell off the fucking cliff. I kind of feel like the sails and the wind are blowing in his direction. You might be right. He could go on a fucking run. And that would be fucking cool. Because here's the thing. As much as we've hand-waved him and as much as we've been like, this guy's never going to fucking get the love that maybe we would love to see him get. Maybe that changes. Maybe there's a change of heart somewhere. Maybe a voice is louder than others. Who knows? It does feel like he's going to go on a run. So I don't know. If I'm a betting man, I might put a couple shekels on that. What you laid out, and I would ride it. I would ride it. So I would look for that. I would look for a nice little run for Great Okan that might surprise some people. Let's put it that way.
And Jake Lee also got 2 points. So lost to Zack Sabre Jr., lost to Great Okan. He's got Callum Newman next. Aramitha says, what do you think of Gabe and Lee as a tag team? Okay. Several things going on with Jake Lee here. Either he's just not very good at pro wrestling, or New Japan are racist and are treating him badly because of his Korean heritage.
Terrible.
Or maybe he's not even staying in New Japan. I've asked a few times if I can get some kind of information about his contractual status, and I've not had any answers yet. But I'm wondering if this whole thing, like, I've betrayed Noah and left them, and now I'm with New Japan, I'm with the War Dogs, if that is just a short-term thing to give him some narrative significance in the G1, and then after that he's going straight back to Noah. Because apparently all the other Noah wrestlers are still cutting promos about him.
Right.
And do you know who he's got on the final night? Because I'm going to check it now. If it's Gabe Kidd, then I could definitely see a situation where he just gets jumped by the War Dogs and kicked out of the Bullet Club. So I'm going to look this up now.
Go ahead. Because I don't know.
So he will be facing Shingo. So no, my theory's falling apart there. But yeah, what have you felt about Jake Lee?
I don't think he's been terrible. I think he's been Jake Lee. Like
he's been shown up by people who are better than him. Yeah. I don't think he's not been phoning in. He's not terrible, but we're looking at, I think, a very special crop of wrestlers, both in terms of the New Japan talent and also on the block opposite him, we've got a guy, Konosuke Takeshita, who is fucking amazing and is possibly making Jake Lee look crap by comparison. But it's just the bar has been raised, hasn't it? And I think maybe Jake Lee is suffering as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing too: you could fucking type his name into a Twitter search or type his name into fucking whatever, and the opinions are out there, and they're not hard to find. Like nobody's been high on him. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like in a maybe a stretch, but I'm going to say, it's kind of like, what you're getting with Sonata, what you're getting from fucking Jake Lee. You'll get glimmers of hope and you'll get, touches of brilliance. Maybe not. He is a. Here's the thing with Jake Lee, and I truly believe this. He has the look of a stud. Like he has a look of, okay, this is if I were going to build a pro wrestler, Joel, I would cut a marble statue of fucking Jake Lee. Okay, maybe I want to go that far, but that was my Bradshaw, by the way. Pretty good, right? My JBL, pretty good, right?
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. I've been working on it. I'm like fucking Don Rickles over here. It's not Don Rickles. He doesn't do imitation. Who does? Never mind. Yeah, he is what he is. He is what he is. And you're right. I don't know what his contract status is. I don't know if this is just a G1 appearance kind of thing. Could possibly. And I think people would, carry his bags as he left New Japan. I don't think anybody would complain. But here's the thing, too. I don't think anybody would really complain if he stayed. He's there. He's good. He's fine. But he's never going to be a guy that I would be like, okay, here we fucking go, main event time. Like, he just isn't that guy. And not everyone can be. I think in many times during his career, he has been force-fed down people's throats, and I think people get a bad taste from that out of the gate. But truth be told, he's an okay pro wrestler. And that's it. That's what you get. So, again, I'm not putting too much stock in 2 points. I'm more concerned with he's Jake Lee. And you're right. The thing about the Noah guys still kind of yapping about him, I want to believe that plays into the factor of him maybe not being New Japan full time and going back to Noah, blah, blah, blah. I mean, but you see that across the board with this promotion where they talk about outside guys and, people in other promotions, and maybe it's just a case of that, maybe. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, he's Jake Lee.
On to B block. Top, we have Yuya Uemura, who has 6 points. He beat Konosuke Takeshita and lost to Jeff Cobb. He's got Henare and ELP up next. Wow, that Takeshita match was right up there with my favorite match of the tournament. Just fucking incredible. And just everything that Yuya does well, amplified with a perfect opponent in the shape of Takeshita, who beat the crap out of him and let the elegant simplicity of the Yuya style just sing. It was perfect. And Yuya is quite right to stick to his guns and say, no, I don't need to do the flashy moves or the dangerous moves. I'm good enough at the fundamentals and got good enough instincts for this that I can get the crowd on side. And they were just living and dying by that, the deadbolt suplex. And that just was the first match where I thought, yeah, this is, if it's done right and built right, this is an excellent finisher, because Takeshita really sold the struggle of trying to get out of that. And that was the whole narrative thread of that match. Like, could Yuya lock him into that and keep his arms locked up so he could hit that move? And Takeshita's powering out of it, and then Yuya's working on Takeshita's arms and taking those away from him so he's not able to get out of it. And then at the end, Takeshita's like desperately, frantically thrashing his head, trying to headbutt his way out the deadbolt, and is not able to do it. And you're running him into the turnbuckle to get the momentum to launch him into it, and the crowd just losing their minds. Oh, man. Again, I'm talking about guys who are eating other people's lunches and drinking their milkshakes and whatever other similes you want to use, but or metaphors, rather. Yuya is a guy who has made such incredible strides in this G1, and I don't necessarily think he is going to go deep in the tournament. Like, that could be it for him having those 3 big wins at the start, getting to beat the global champion Finlay and being the first guy to beat Takeshita, because I don't think Takeshita's going to be taking too many pins in this run, and New Japan had some choices to make about who was going to be the first guy to beat him, and they chose Yuya, not for nothing, as you would say. And just little things like the fact that he's using the high fly flow now, maybe it's kind of signifying that perhaps he is the spiritual successor to Tanahashi for all of the ways that Shota was kind of Tanahashi coded early on. Maybe it is Yuya who's going to take up that mantle, and they could be setting up a future match there. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of parallels with Tanahashi, but it's so gratifying and thrilling to see him starting to put it together and justify the hype and the excitement I had for him. Even like when he went off on excursion, I was convinced that he was going to be a future star, and he's starting to show it now, and he's not had to compromise his beliefs about what pro wrestling should be, and he's doing it in a very different way to guys like Tsuji, to guys like Gabe Kidd. He's doing it his own way, and just based on that Takeshita match, it is working, and it's very, very exciting.
I'm like, for the first time in a long, long time, I feel like we have just this built-in feud, competition, competitiveness between two guys that are, without question, the future of not only this company but pro wrestling in Japan. I compare this to, like, I don't know, as weird as this sounds, like, you know how like when you cook like fucking homemade pasta sauce or a homemade chili or whatever, and it tastes good out of the pot, right? Fantastic. But then you let it sit overnight, let the flavors meld, and then the fucking next day it's even better, right? Like, that's the kind of vibes I get with this, in the sense of, can you imagine this match in a year, in 2 years? Like, there's something special there, something special between those two guys that, you know, I don't know if we have that with anything else, which has me somewhat concerned, in the sense of, I don't know what Takeshita's future holds in New Japan. I would hope and pray that, the idea of him being a focal point in New Japan Pro Wrestling is appealing to him in some fashion. I think you have a stud. Like, to me, I know everybody was kind of up on Yota Tsuji, and I still am too, don't get me wrong. But there is just a vibe. I've said vibe a lot today. I don't know why. I think I'm fucking 13. There is a feeling with Yuya that I don't necessarily get with anyone else, aside from Takeshita. Is this... It's weird to find this type of aura and confidence and energy, whatever fucking phrase it is, like, he's got that. And it comes across strong. And I feel it. Like, I feel that coming from him. And I feel like fans feel it too. I don't think there's any mistake or anything weird or happenstance that 6 points for both guys right now. So, yep, they're both going to be in the mix. They're both going to be, if you don't consider them stars already, where they're going to be stars plus. And I just feel like this could be the thing that New Japan rides for years. And it would be great. And I don't think anybody, and I think those people that might have taken time off from New Japan Pro Wrestling, like, when this gets going and here are the seeds of it and here's the beginning of it, the possibilities are fucking fantastic. The problem is that there's uncertainty of what the future holds when it comes to Takeshita being a guy in New Japan Pro Wrestling for a long time. I would hope and think and pray that New Japan has a blank check and says, all right, buddy, name your price, because we want you, and because you're going to be a focal point in this promotion. And I think they would be dumb as bricks to not have, if not already done it, but soon to do it, because it's as plain as the nose on my face that this could be your future, and I don't think anyone complained about that.
Yeah, Takeshita was the next guy to talk about. He's also on 6 points. Lost to Yuya, beat Henare in a very hard-hitting match where he gave Henare an absolute beating. And I feel like you said, he's a guy where other people, I think, are finding him intimidating in a good way. They're saying, fuck, this guy.
Can I keep up with him? Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to have to work my socks off just to keep up with him. And that is a very, very good thing. He has been talking backstage about a mystery mentor who's entrusted him with strong style. He kind of hinted at it being Nakamura. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know what the significance of that is, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. But, at the very least, if it is just for a short run so he can work the G1, then let's extract the maximum value that we can. Let's have him run deep, get into the semis, put him in the final. Let's go all out, because he is probably the best wrestler in this field of 20. If we're being honest, I think he's the in terms of the finished article. There are other guys who might have higher ceilings than him, possibly, but he is, like, for me, top 5 in the world right now. So he is delivering in ring. Is he a draw? I don't know, but I think he could be.
He was with DDT, wasn't he?
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. And again, even with unknowns as far as New Japan is concerned, like, you won't know until you try. Right, they're only not a draw until if you put them in the position to give them a chance to draw, then they might very well draw. So he would be. I would have no qualms about pushing an AEW guy and giving an AEW guy a spot, because it would just be a fucking great story and great wrestling, and maybe even entice him to think about, does he really want to be at AEW anymore? Because they're not using him in a fraction of the way that they should be. And he can't be happy with the absolute chaos that's going backstage there. So, yeah, like you said, New Japan, please just save every penny that you can. The money that you're saving from not employing mediocre Western wrestlers anymore, put that into the Takeshita funds, please, because this guy is bloody brilliant.
Yep, he's it. I mean, you said it. He's the guy. Like, that's a blue chipper right there. And he's young, but has a lot of experience. It's not like we talk about young with Callum Newman, like he's got a ton of experience. And yes, there are people that, like, he's raised the bar, I feel like, and when people communicate to us that, hey, you know what, I gotta step my game up, or I gotta be, he's that good in the sense of, I want to keep up with that, and that's a tough bar to maintain. That's fun. That's great. That's competition. And please, as much as I want to think that the locker room has changed and the attitudes have changed and people putting over people is fantastic, don't think that there isn't a sense of competition, that you want to walk through that curtain and be like, all right, boys, how about that one? Try that one on for size. There is that, because at the end of the day, they are pro wrestlers, and they're trying to make a name for themselves, and they're trying to impress the people in the back so that they can be higher up in the card, so that they can make more money and they can be on more tours. So, yep. It's only a good thing. And trust me, B Block fucking gets me going fucking hard as a rock, because I'm all about more of all of them. Like, there's not a guy in that fucking block that I'm like, fuck him. Really isn't. Really a fucking tight block. I love it.
Just think of all the long-term rivalries and great main events he could have with that crop coming through. Not just you, which he's already shown.
Seriously,
that could be a great generational rivalry, but against Gabe Kidd or Suji or Shota, if you can get his act together, or Oiwa when he comes back. Yeah, and he's not even 30. I remember seeing him. He was in the main event of DDT Judgment in 2017. So this was around the time of that, 2017 spring New Japan. That was Shibata winning the New Japan Cup and that Sakura Genesis thing. Konosuke Takeshita was main eventing DDT shows then. Saitama Super Arena, 10,000 fans in attendance for that one, which, that's no mean feat. So this guy's been doing it a long time. And of course, it's very different to how he was then. But I've got to stop gushing about Takeshita, because I'm just going to end up upsetting myself.
Heartbroken, I know. He signed a 7-year deal with AEW.
I'm going to move on. Let's talk about David Finlay. He's on 4 points. He beat Henare and beat Ren Narita. He's got Takeshita next and Oleg Boltin after that. He's been solid. I don't think the Henare match was what you'd expect. It was hard hitting. The Ren match was about as far as you could get with the Bullet Club versus Bullet Club shenanigans to still be appealing and entertaining. I thought they did a fairly good job there, and it was quite interesting the fact that it was Finlay who was basically getting the crowd on his side as opposed to Ren. So that was quite interesting anyway. But I think the best is yet to come from Finlay, but 2 solid matches. I'm expecting him to be in the mix, if not going through to the last stage. I know I do expect him to be going through. I think he's going to be in the top 3 come the end. But that's Finlay.
I thought he's been solid. I think he's been very good actually. I will say, do you sit there and again watching that match? Do you consider House of Torture a part of Bullet Club? Like, it took me, I had to constantly remind myself that technically they're in the same faction. It's just subdivisions of. Not
to the extent of it's of no consequence, is it? The fact that they're tangentially affiliated, it doesn't manifest itself in any meaningful way in the booking or the stories.
Yeah, it just felt like, okay, they're like
they may as well not be.
Right, exactly is my point. All right, but I think David Finlay's been very good actually. I know we're kind of pressed for time, and that's what I hate about doing these shows is that we wax poetically about one block and then it's like rush, pace me because we're pressed for time.
No, but I don't think there's been anything really that new to say about Finlay compared to after nights 1 to 3. So it is what it is. Same for Hinari, really. He's on 4 points, lost to Finlay, lost to Takeshita, 2 very hard-hitting matches. He's got Yuya and Jeff Cobb next. Jeff Cobb, that's a really interesting one that I'm circling because that's United Empire, an intra-Empire match, and they're both singles title holders, so that one's going to be very interesting. And I think it's going to be a great match. And also Yuya. I mean, Yuya against Hinari, I think Hinari is going to be a very good foil for Yuya. So, I think what we're expecting from Hinari, we've got high expectations from him, and I think he's delivering. He's got that style down pat, and I'm excited to see him having interactions. I thought he's been quite good on commentary, and then when Gabe Kidd has been going past him and making references to the hole in his head, that makes me think they've definitely got unfinished business, and I can see that being, even they could run that back at Wrestle Kingdom, couldn't they? Hinari versus Gabe Kidd. But I think Hinari is doing very well in his role as the sort of the powerhouse bruiser, hard hitting guy. He's living, well, I say living the gimmick. It's not really a gimmick for Hinari, is it? From everything I hear, like this is what Hinari is like, and he is living his best life. And this is real. That's the authenticity you talk about.
Yeah, I don't think you get any more authentic than him, right? He's got Jeff Cobb. He still has Yuya. He still has Yota Tsuji, which I think has the potential of being really fucking good. Here's the best thing I can say, and I don't mean this in any disparaging way. But he fits perfectly in G1. Like he is a guy that you can depend on for that beefy, hard hitting G1, third from the top match, and even second from the top, and even fine, you want to put him in a fucking main event by all means. Like he fits in perfectly, and that's hard work. Like he there's not you're never going to sit there and be like, oh, he phoned that one fucking in. Not with that dude. No fucking
I'll tell you
way.
one criticism I have seen. I don't know if you agree with this one, but people have said that he kicks out at 1 too frequently, and that he should do it less frequently in order to make it a special thing.
I just think that it's a overemphasis of he's got more guts than brains. The same thing with Ishii, right? That role of I'm so fucking stubborn, tough that I'm just going to do it. Look, I think the kick out at 1 is overplayed. Period. To be honest with you, right? Like it's one of those tropes in pro wrestling that you're just like, okay, the first fucking couple years of it can be exciting, but after a certain point, you get diminishing return. So, while I tend to agree with that statement, I would like to see that across the board in pro wrestling. I think the 1 kick out is very much overplayed.
Ren Narita also on 4 points, beat Jeff Cobb, lost to Finlay. He's got Goto and Yota Tsuji next. I mean, he's playing his role well. I think the way he beat Jeff Cobb was necessary. Like, I'm not going to buy a guy of Ren Narita's stature beating a guy the size of Jeff Cobb cleanly. I think it the only way for Ren to beat him that made sense would be using all the shenanigans that he does, and going after body parts and using the push-up bar and all that. But again, I'm not feeling it that it is done in a way that is oversaturating me like it was during, for example, the New Japan Cup, where it just felt like every fucking match on the card was House of Torture shenanigans. I feel that the company and Ren and Evil have sort of settled into a nice balance there where I'm finding it entertaining, and I think the crowd is reacting to it positively. They're finding it entertaining as well, and it's not spoiling my enjoyment of the shows, and I'm not hearing too many complaints about it either.
Right, but I also don't hear that many things of, wow, how about that fucking Ren Narita, right? Where I think you could. Like, I think the possibility is there for that. I'm just curious to see him in 2 or 3 years. Like, is he still going to be the same guy? I don't know. I tend to lean toward the gimmick not necessarily being helpful for him. That being said, he's found a nice groove, I guess, right? I guess. It's not for me. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody expects him to go deep. So it's hard. I don't know. I can't say I'm disappointed in him. Like, he's doing his job and his role well. It's the fact that, I don't know, I just think there's so much more that could be done that I worry that he's just going to be pigeonholed and be fucking, I don't know, for lack of a better term, he's going to be Fonzie for the rest of his life. He's just, and that's a terrible one because Henry Winkler is quite an actor. But you get my point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in an era now where there, to my mind at least, is so much exciting talent coming through that if he and other wrestlers in a similar position are not able to make the adjustments and keep up, right, then that's the way it goes. You either you get good or you fall down the card, and that's that.
But how do you get good doing that, though? I guess is my question.
Well, maybe he's only doing that because he wasn't doing the other stuff right.
Good point. Okay.
If he was absolutely killing it with what he was doing prior to the gimmick change, then they wouldn't have changed his gimmick up.
Fair point. Fair point, and that could very well be it. Very good job by you.
Who we got next? Jeff Cobb, 4 points. He lost to Ren and then beat Yuya. He's got ELP and Henare next. I have nothing new to say about Jeff Cobb since last time. He's fucking great and exactly the sort of person you want in a Grade 1 Climax, where you're going to get short, entertaining matches. He's doing the TV title gimmick really well, where he's wanting to get matches wrapped up in fewer than 50 minutes. And he is brilliant. We love Jeff Cobb.
We do, in the ring. Can we get him off the color commentating?
Yes, okay. Yeah, he's not good at color commentary.
It's okay. I mean, he leans into the dick jokes, and trust me, that's the target audience. We're right here. I don't know. It's that. Know what it is? Here's what it is. It's that pro wrestling guerrilla type of commentary that, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me.
It's a nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah. It doesn't do anything for me. But, you know what I learned? And correct me if I'm wrong. Don't guys who do the color, they get a little extra in the at the payoff window? Don't they get a little extra for that? I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. So there you go. Good for him. Keep getting that money. Keep getting the bag, Jeff. Keep getting the bag.
We have Hiroki Goto, who is on 4 points. He beat Oleg and Tsuji. He's got Ren and Takeshita next. Maybe a little bit of a surprise that he beat Oleg and Tsuji. I mean, the Tsuji match I thought was really excellent. It was a nice sort of played off the more dramatic moments of their New Japan Cup final win, and Goto gets his win back in the end there. And I think he did need to win some upset matches to justify his inclusion, because if when I was doing my pick'ems, I was just thinking, well, Goto should lose to this guy, he should lose to this guy, he should lose to this guy, and he can't just lose all his matches, because I think he has brought a lot of value as being sort of the grumpy veteran that he's sort of setting himself there as the wall that the youngsters have to get through in order to prove themselves. And I think there's a lot of value to that, and he's stepped it up. I think his output in this G1 is superior to how it has been over the last 3 to 4 years. Maybe he's healthier, or maybe this is just like the rising tide lifting all ships kind of thing, where he's been given a specific role to work with these younger guys and help get them over, and that as part of that he's got to win some matches. So yeah, he's beaten 2 young guys in Oleg and Yota Tsuji, but he justified his inclusion for my money.
1,000%. He's a stabilizing force. Circle August 4th. That's Takeshita. That should be fucking good. I really do think that'd be really fucking great. Yeah, I think he's out-delivered my expectations in ring. I think his match with Cobb was good. I thought his match with Yuya was good. Bolton Oleg was good. Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly underrated, and again, he is long in the tooth. He's been around the block, and people might either A, be sick of him, or B, maybe not take him as seriously as they should. And I'm guilty of that at times. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think there's value there, and 4 points feels just about right. And there is this logjam of 4 right in Block B right now, right? Seems like there's a million people: Ren, David, Finley, Henare, Cobb, Oleg, Heat, and Goto being one of them. Like it's a tight race. It's fun. Again, you don't know who the fuck's going to win. That's chef's kiss.
Oleg Boltin, 4 points, lost to Goto, but then beat ELP, which is quite a surprise there. He's got Yota Tsuji next and David Finley after that. So, yeah, another guy who is learning on the job. I think the matches have been good. I don't know. I've not got a huge amount to say for Oleg Boltin, apart from the fact that I saw sort of hints there that there might be some kind of relationship growing between him and ELP. I don't know if that's necessarily what I would want from Oleg Boltin, to be doing another doomed tag team with El Phantasmo, who seems to be a bit of a jinx when it comes to tag teams. But yeah, he's been good.
I had word that never mind. I thought we would go into El Phantasmo. Never mind. When we get there, I'll share a little bit. I think he's done very well, actually. I love his new look. I think he. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find a take. Like, I don't really have one.
I'm struggling. This is what this podcast is. It's hard work. It's like, what more stuff can I say about him?
I think he's been solid. 4 points. He's right in the mix. He's got some good matches coming up, potentially on paper. I think the Jeff Cobb one should be really fucking fun. Yeah, he's done well.
And we got El Phantasmo on 2 points, who beat Yota Tsuji, which looked like it might get him out of his funk, but then he lost to Oleg. He has Cobb and Yuya next. Yeah, the Tsuji match, again, I've seen a lot of criticism for that. I think he's been fine. I really think the work has been fine. I don't know if this is just like a JCast Discord thing where there are certain bêtes noires that people are very sort of hypercritical of, but I didn't see anything in the Tsuji match that I thought was egregious. I know people were upset that he won, but it was kind of a fluke win, wasn't it? It wasn't like he absolutely blew the doors off Tsuji and was the superior wrestler. I'm not particularly interested in the sad man storyline routine, but yeah, he's been all right.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think everybody's waiting for that next gear. That's never going to happen, it feels like, but okay, whatever. I'll tell you a quick story. I think you already know the story, but I'll share. We have a mutual friend who was with El Phantasmo at a certain point, and I believe you were in a text conversation with this certain friend, and the comment was made, "Is that the British guy or the guy who doesn't watch my matches?" I watch your matches. God damn it. I watch them. I know. Well, maybe it was the tag. Maybe I didn't watch a lot of those. But I thought that was like, hey, I watch your stuff. Come on, buddy. All right. So, yes, he's done fine. 2 points. I think that will be more to come. That's for sure.
Yota Tsuji also on 2 points. So that's a bit of a surprise. So he lost to ELP and lost to Goto. He's got Oleg and Ren next. It feels like nailed on that we're getting the redemption run for Yota Tsuji.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine him going on a losing streak. What would be the point of that? I think he's in the mix along with Takeshita and Yuya. I would think. I would hope. Let's put it that way. But again, so many people stuck at 4 right now that literally anything can happen. So I'm excited. B Block fucking is great. Oh, so good.
Right, well, we are working on maybe getting some fresh voices in the room for the next podcast. So watch this space. I'm not going to reveal anything yet until we've got it nailed on. But I'm excited.
Well, when you let us know, I'll give you a big fat kiss. How about that?
Yeah.
Get it? Oh, nice thing. All right, very good. Anyway.
All right. See you next week. Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.